Slavery has been practiced in many forms throughout history and in almost everywhere in the world. It is prevalent across all racial, gender, and age categories, and it was evident in the Benin Kingdom in Africa long before colonization. The institution of slavery served as one of the economic pillars of the pre-colonial Benin Kingdom. Slaves were acquired in a variety of ways. The commonest of them was through the innumerable wars of conquest and expansion. Similar to slavery, but distinct and practiced, was the system of pawning, in which people who borrowed money pledged themselves or their loved ones as collateral. Slavery was an integral part of the state structure in Benin and other West African kingdoms up to the late 19th century. The roots of slavery, which predated the arrival of European control, were found in the economic, military, social, and political requirements of the kingdom. There were two types of slaves: the king's slaves, which means the slaves of the king, and the other type refers to the slaves of ordinary citizens. The Kingdom of Benin, also known as the Edo Kingdom or the Benin Empire, existed in what is now known as southern Nigeria. Its capital was in Edo, which is modern-day Benin City in Edo State. One of the oldest and most advanced states in West Africa's coastal hinterland was the Benin Kingdom. It originated from the former Edo Kingdom of Igodomigodo, which lasted until 1897 when the British Empire seized it. The Ogiso, known as the Monarch of the Sky, first controlled the Edo people and founders of the Benin Kingdom. The first Ogiso reveled in great power, for he was considered to be a capable leader. Interestingly, the region enjoyed some agricultural activities by the 1st century BC and 500 AD. Be that as it may, hunting and gathering continues to play a pivotal role. Besides, the city was simple to protect because of its thick greenery and narrow paths. The abundance of resources in the rainforest, such as fish from rivers and creeks, animals to hunt, leaves for roofing, herbs for medicine, ivory for carving and trading, and timber for boat building, contributed to the city's development. The first Oba of the Golden Age, Oba Iwaire or Iwaire the Great, is credited for transforming the city from an Ogiso military fortress into a city-state in 1440. He started the expansion of the kingdom out of the heartland of the Edo-speaking people. A large portion of what is now known as Western Nigeria came under the political dominance and might of the kingdom. It reigned over the Western Igbo, Ijaw, Ishekiri, Ika, Isoko, and Urobo tribes. Additionally, the Eastern Yoruba tribes of Ondo, Ekiti, Ugbo, and Ijebu were under its control. Before the British took over in 1861, it controlled the area which is now known as the metropolis of Lagos. Its prosperity increased as a result of its wide trade, particularly with the Portuguese, who were the first to arrive in 1485. In exchange for items such as manillas and firearms, the European traders were eager to purchase slaves, art, ivory, and pepper products from the Edo people. On account of civil war and disagreement over the kingship, the kingdom temporarily fell in the late 17th century. By the way, Benin controlled trade throughout the whole coastline, from the western Niger Delta through Lagos and the Great Accra Kingdom, now Ghana. The center of the kingdom was first referred to as Benin during the reign of Oba Iwaire. The Portuguese later coined the name Benin City. From 850 AD until its decline in the 16th century, a series of wars reflected the sacred city's gradual rise. There are still a few fragments of the building in Edo, and the majority of them are utilized for construction by the locals. Furthermore, Oba Iwari ordered the construction of the inner wall to encircle his palace. That said, research revealed that human sacrifice had been an element of their religion since its inception. In fact, archaeologist Graham Connor uncovered 41 female remains placed into a pit, although they were disproved as rumors. Nonetheless, at an annual ceremony in honor of the deity of iron, humans were sacrificed while the warriors performed an acrobatic dance. What is more, sacrifices of a man, a woman, a goat, a cow, and a ram were given to a deity known as the King of Death. In the heart of Benin City, a particular altar was used to honor it. According to one source, by the end of the 18th century, 3 to 4 individuals were killed yearly near the mouth of the Benin River to entice European trade. The kingdom had some remarkable historical figures. For instance, Queen Idia, wife of Oba Ozolua, was a famous warrior who received much of the credit for the victories of her son as his political counsel. Furthermore, her mystical powers and medicinal knowledge were considered to be instrumental in his success on the battlefield. Queen Idia became more popular when an ivory carving of her face was adopted as a symbol of Festac in 1977. Another historical female figure was Imoton, a trader credited with setting up the first primary school in the kingdom and saving the monarchy during one of its lowest moments. Queen Eden was another heroine whose sacrifice helped to shape the kingdom, for she volunteered herself as a sacrificial lamb for the welfare of her husband. Another remarkable figure was General Asoro, a warrior who was a sword-bearer to King Ovorame. In fact, he participated in the defense of Benin during the 1897 expedition to capture the Oba and Chief Obasogi, an outstanding Benin warrior who defended the kingdom. He is also a talented blacksmith and sculptor. The Oba served as the ultimate military commander. The generalissimos, including the Ezomos, the Iyase, and others, oversaw the Metropolitan Regiment, which was stationed in the capital. Equally, they oversaw the Royal Regiment, which comprised specially chosen warriors who acted as bodyguards. The Queen's own regiment was kept by the Queen Mother, the Ioba, who was never permitted to visit her son, the king, following his coronation. The majority of the fighting force was given by the village regiments as and when they were needed. Before the invention of firearms in the 15th century, guilds of blacksmiths were responsible for the production of weapons such as swords and iron spearheads. Together with that, the army had a specific force made up of crossbowmen. To maintain the kingdom's independence during the rule of Oba Ovorame, the Oba gradually outlawed the export of products from Benin. This was subsequent to the Civil War and other factors. Throughout the 1880s, the kingdom resisted becoming a British protectorate despite numerous attempts to establish ties with it and take over its trade in resources such as palm oil, kola nuts, ivory, and possibly rubber. The resistance of the kingdom was occasioned by the fact that Britain sent delegates such as Richard Francis Burton and others in 1862. Notwithstanding, the British remained persistent. For the record, Oba Ovorame's fall from power occurred in 1892 during the visit of Henry Galway, the British Vice Consul of the Oyo Rivers Protectorate. One way or the other, Galway was able to cajole the king and his chiefs to sign a treaty that gave Britain legal justification for exerting greater influence over the empire. Thereafter, there was a massacre and expedition of Benin in 1897. The foregoing happened after the generals perceived an attempt to depose the Oba. As such, a British delegate named James Robert Phillips, was attacked. 8 British delegates and hundreds of African laborers and porters were also attacked. In retaliation, a punitive expedition and destruction were launched, and 1,200 men under the command of Sir Harry Rosen captured Benin City. The British then occupied Benin, which was absorbed into the British Niger Coast Protectorate and eventually into British colonial Nigeria. They emancipated slaves but imposed a system of forced labor. The British launched additionally an operation in 1899 called the Benin Territories Expedition against rebels. After the expedition, the institution of slavery and related forms of pawning underwent a variety of adjustments. The abolition of slavery in Benin, according to research, was used in contrast to many areas in Nigeria to facilitate British occupation. Be that as it may, the abolition created a host of challenges in the Benin Kingdom.